Hey guys, Ben Nash from Pivot Wealth here, and today I'm talking all about how to set achievable financial goals and how to do your planning. So, really, really important because being smart with your money is hard. Um, it's something that really test. Start that one again. Hey guys, Ben Nash from Pivot Wealth here, and today I'm talking all about how to set achievable financial goals and how to motivate yourself to actually get the results that you want. Because the reality is that being smart with your money is hard. It's about making good financial decisions today and essentially putting money away for tomorrow. So, in order to motivate yourself to do the work, then knowing what it is that you're working towards is really helpful and almost necessary, I think, for a lot of people when it comes to making this actually happen. So, the first thing I want to share with you is a bit of a model which talks about progression from where you are today to this future state. And basically, in the future, you're going to be in one of four financial positions. This goes into another model that we've put together, which is all about the different stages that people go through with their money. But essentially, the future state for you ranges somewhere between really bad and really good. We've got distressed, stalled, comfortable, and killing it. And I think a lot of people, when they think about their progression from where they are to where they want to be, they think about it like a straight line. But because of the compounding impact of time and money that we've learned about through this challenge, that it is actually a curve. And the reality is that for most people, and it depends on what your version of killing it is, but for a lot of people, we want a lot. So for a lot of people, that they're not quite on track to where they want to be. And so if you're not quite there on a trajectory that you're totally 100% comfortable is going to get you to exactly where you want to be, then you need to do some stuff. You need to be smarter with your investments, save a few bucks in tax, jump the line essentially. And the reality is that once you do jump the line, then things become easier because we're just following the bouncing ball. You just take the next step and the next step and the next step. But the thing is that the longer that you wait, the more that you delay. If you wait a month, like if you want 5 grand a month in passive income, say, or 10 grand or 20 grand, whatever that number is for you, that you need to save X dollars today. If you wait a month, a year, 5 years, then it just is X plus, 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 plus. So it gets to the point that if you wait too long, jumping the line becomes more and more difficult. The sacrifices you make become greater, it becomes more painful, and putting yourself into the absolute best position possible becomes actually impossible. So this is my bit of a motivational talk to say that the sooner you start, the easier that becomes. So how you actually plan, and what I want to talk through is our planning process, where you can see the key steps that you need to go through, the actions that you need to take, and how it can all fit together. Now, this is the financial planning process that we use, that we guide people through when it comes to setting up their planning. But it's the same process or steps that any person needs to use when they're planning and making financial decisions. The first thing that you need to do is to focus on what's important to you. And I've got a bit of an exercise to run through with you around that. But what does success actually look like? What are the roadblocks that are standing in your way? What are the barriers? Because that gives us a starting point for success. Then the next step from there is to clarify all of the moving parts that are going to impact your financial decisions and your financial situation. What money's coming in? What money's going out? Where's it going? Are you happy with that? What investments do you have? What's your tax position on those? Your property, mortgages, interest rates, all of those sorts of things. That's about clarifying your position so that you know that your foundation is rock solid. Then from there, you want to also look ahead at the foreseeable future and think about what might change. Common one that we see in the planning work that we do is people taking time out of the workforce for children, maternity leaves, weddings, starting a business, all of those sorts of things. We call that your lifestyle baseline. And those are the things that you absolutely want to have the ability to do if you choose to do them. So you want to map out not just the how things are right now today, but also like looking forward, what does it actually mean for the things that you want to do and how is that going to impact your decisions? Because that becomes the baseline upon which you can layer decisions around investing, buying property, paying down debt, etc., etc. And that's exactly the next step to say, okay, well, what are the pathways forward for you from here? If you buy a property, what does it look like? If you spend $500,000, $750,000, $1 million on a property, what does that mean? If you buy as an investment property, your own home, you build a share portfolio instead. Now, you want to look at what is the financial impact of those decisions. The numbers are going to be different, right? So, if you buy a property as your own home versus your investment versus an investment property, there's a bit of a difference there. If you build a share portfolio instead, that's a difference. But then on top of that, you've got another set of differences, which are the trade-offs, and everything has different feelings attached to it. Buying your own home is nice. You can paint the feature wall that shade of tangerine that you really like, or buying shares feels risky, or buying an investment property feels like you don't want to be a landlord, or like whatever those things are. Both the emotions and the financial side of things are important, but the most important thing is to find the balance between the two so that you know that you're making decisions that are going to give you the peace of mind benefits that you want and the financial benefits that you want. Once you've strategized and figured out what the right combination of those options is to get you from where you are to where you want to be, becomes, I'm not going to say simple, but straightforward. So you just need to break it down into the 27-step action plan that needs to happen to turn your plan into outcomes. From there, you want to automate as much as possible, automate your banking, automate your tax, automate your investing, your debt reduction, super contributions, all of those things, because setting your default as success hacks a lot of our psychology and thinking, and it gives you a better chance of success. That's one, those steps from focus through to automate. They're the steps in setting up a plan and setting up the track to run on. Then once you've done that, you need to ensure that over time, and being money smart is all about making sure that your plan remains consistent with what's going on with your money, what's going on in the world, and how you feel and what you want, what's important to you as well. I would suggest that at least on an annual basis, and perhaps more frequently when bigger things are changing, that you're looking at those things and seeing how they fit with the plan that you've set yourself. If any one of those three things becomes inconsistent with your plan, then it's time to change your plan. So it doesn't need to necessarily change a lot, but you want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of the position that you're in and the situation that you've got behind you. In terms of why we should budget, and the budget is really the foundation for that planning process, is that you need to make your numbers, you need to know your numbers so that you can make those bigger plans. You want to take advantage of your higher income that could potentially reduce over time, and ideally that you want it to be able to reduce over time, not that you necessarily plan for that, but that you can set yourself up in a way so that it can, so that you're not relying on your income. And you need a bit of a feedback loop. It's like if you've got a great plan, that's great. But then once you start implementing the plan, that's where the rubber hits the road. So knowing what your plan looks like, or what it should look like, and then what actually happens is going to mean that you can track how well you're going. It also creates good habits, and money is a muscle that you build over time. So the sooner you start flexing it, the sooner you get into that groove, and then it makes it easy to take the next step and the next step. In terms of some of the mistakes that people make along this journey, that the first one is that goal setting does become a bit of a barrier for some people in getting started. I speak to a lot of people and they say, oh, well, I need to set good goals before I jump into doing a financial strategy or a financial plan. But the reality is that goal setting is not an action that you do. It's a process that you follow. So you need to, when you want to set goals, you need to firstly think about what's actually important to you. Then it's about what is realistically possible based on the inputs that you've got, based on the things that you've got going on. And then from there, you can set your final goals. Once you know what's possible, you wind them into the actual refined goal. So you know that you've got an achievable, realistic target that you've set for yourself. I want to talk you through this exercise called reality, roadblocks, and results. And it's a really great way to focus on what's important to motivate yourself and what success looks like. Figure out where things are actually at today, and then know what the key roadblocks are, which are not always roadblocks. Sometimes they're speed bumps, but what are the things that are slowing you down or holding you back? I'm going to do this a bit of a weird way around, and feel free to pause this as you're going through to write pen to paper or take notes on your phone or whatever that is for you. But I'll step you through the steps, and we're going to start up at the results, and that's all about the future state. The question that I like to ask to tease this one out is to say, if we were having a conversation 3 years from today, for you to say to me, Ben, I'm super stoked with how everything is going. I'm blown away with the results that I'm getting financially, what's going on with my money. What does that look like to you? What are the things that you would need to see or to feel or to have happen for you to have that feeling, to be that excited about what's going on? What does an amazing result look like? And note that it can be specific or broad. A lot of times, and I'd say the majority of times that I talk through this process with people, they say the end result is that they want to be on a pathway that they're happy with and know that they can get there in a timeline that they're happy with. Some people have really specific things that it might be they want to buy a first home of X dollars within X time frame, that they want a passive income of whatever, that they want to be able to fund kids' private school, that they want to do these specific things. And if you've got specific things, that's great. If you don't, that's totally fine and totally normal. And in fact, probably the most common outcome as well. Don't get too caught up in the detail. And a lot of people also, when we go through this process, say, oh, I bet that answer seems super vague, that other people have it more together than what I do. Reality is that everybody's in the same boat. But when it does come to the results that you want, one of the important things is that you do want to clarify the timelines that you're working towards. If something is really important to you to achieve within a certain time frame, then you want to know what that time frame actually is. The next step is about the reality and where are the things today. So you want to tie the reality goals directly back into the results that you were looking for. So if the goal is I want to buy my first home of $1 million in 18 months, then you want to wind that back into the today, which is like, where are you at in relation to that? I don't have any property, I don't have a deposit, or I've got 50,000 in the bank, but I still got a big gap that I need to fill, or haven't had the guarantor conversation with mum or whatever. This part should be easy because it's just what's going on today. But the most important part of this whole process is really these roadblocks, which is what are the things that are slowing you down or holding you back. Here, it's really important that you're being honest with yourself. It's only for you. Know what those gaps are, because that becomes your hit list. If you think about, your goal is that you want to buy that $1 million property. Your reality is you've got $50,000 in the bank, but there's still a big gap between where you need to be. What is slowing you down? Is it that you need to be better with your budgeting, saving, and banking? Is it that you're not clear on what your goal actually is? Is it that you're not as motivated as you could be? Is it that you're potentially constrained on an income perspective, or whatever those things are? You want to be honest here, call those things out. And the question that you can ask yourself as a bit of a fail-safe is to say that if this thing was not an issue, would that be enough to get you from where you are to where you want to be? So if it's being better with your budget, if you were better with your budget, is that enough to get you from the 50,000 to the $1 million property? Or do you need to potentially maybe know more about like whether that is the very best move for you? Because you can start doing some things sooner and do other things over time. There's essentially 4 layers of goals when it comes to setting your goals, and I think this is a really helpful thing to be aware of. You've got your crazy goals, which are the super motivating, really big picture goals, and then you've got to wind that back into the concrete things that need to do to make them happen. So the crazy goal might be financial freedom, being able to travel the world every year, look after your family, and never have to work again. Then the concrete is, okay, well, what do we actually need to get there? We need to build a passive income of $20,000 a month or something like that. Then the control is, okay, well, that means that we need to invest in this particular way in order to do that. And the everyday level of the goal becomes, how much money do you need to put aside? What's the budget? How much you need to earn? Um, and the numbers, the things that you can control immediately right now, today, and in fact, every day, to make those goals happen. If you take the time to step through each of those, it really makes your goals much more realistic and achievable. Guys, just calling out that when things are complex, or the more complex that things are when it comes to your money, the more benefit you're going to get from having good help in your corner, because it can be really difficult. In fact, it's really difficult at the best of times to enact some of this stuff and to move forward. But the more stuff that you've got going on, the more you're saving, the more assets you've got behind you, the more complexity there is that you can squeeze value out of. So don't be shy to ask for people for help. Speak to your mates, speak to a professional. Don't trust your mates too much if they haven't been there before, is one little bit of word of warning there. But knowing that you know the things that you do to have someone to help you untangle some of these things can be really accelerate how quickly you move forward. So look,